In life, only 3 things were guaranteed: death, taxes, and a Call of Duty game to come out every single year. This year is no exception. Just last week, Activision unveiled the new game in the series, Call of Duty WW2. Despite how long the series has been going and how much it's been advancing, I feel like the original is still the best. The original hits you, it has this emotional impact that the new games of the series don't have. The new games may have big budgets, they may have crazy science fiction jetpack, action movie, non-stop insanity, but they don't have the same feeling, the same impact, the same like weight, the consequences, the I don't know how I want to describe it. I keep using like impact. It doesn't have the same impact that the first game had, and let's take a look why that is. But first, let's take a look at some of the packaging. As you can see, you get this nice double wide box, and it has this nice Velcro top that you can lift up. When you flip open the box, you will see screenshots and taglines and things talking about what you will do when you play the game. Once you open the box, you get 2 jewel cases with the Call of Duty game and its expansion pack, as well as manuals for both. The manuals are not in color, but hey, at least you have manuals, unlike nowadays. You also get 2 additional CDs, one CD which includes strategy guides for both games as well as the official soundtrack, which is quite a nice touch as the soundtrack is excellent. In the game's single-player campaign, you play as the Americans, the British, and the Russians. You begin as the Americans, playing as Private Martin, a new enlisted member of the 506th Parachute Infantry. One thing that made this game stick out is the amazing sound design. Just listen to this. Yeah, that sounds really good. Really good. Really loud. This is something you hear in the first 2-3 minutes. I did not expect the game to have such crazy loud guns. The game begins with you parachuting out of a plane along with your fellow squad mates. However, due to heavy fire from the Nazis, you and the rest of the squad get separated. And almost immediately, you start to see some of that impact I was talking about. You see one of your fellow squad mates already dead, because his parachute got him stuck in a tree and he suffocated. You don't have a lot of time though, because World War II does not wait for anyone. Soon after, your squad mates finally land and you meet up, and then the offensive begins. This is the first real combat you deal with in the game. And I know this looks pretty tame in comparison to what you may see in new entries in the series, or maybe things like Battlefield. But when you're actually playing this, especially on high difficulties, this gets intense. If you do crave intensity, the American campaign delivers that almost all the way through. From beginning to end of the campaign, you're doing something usually crazy, or if it's not crazy, like Black Ops 3 jetpack flying around crazy, it's just crazy in terms of like the amount of enemies you're fighting, how loud it is, how noisy it is. I mean, yeah, you don't have crazy space-age technology in this, but the combat in this game just feels different. There's a unique feeling to it. And again, I don't really think that the new games get that. Look at this mission. This mission begins with the Nazis bombing you. I wasn't screwing around in this. I was actually trying to advance and I died almost immediately. They want you dead. They really, really want you dead. Also, that's not to say this game doesn't have its crazy moments. It definitely has some of those insane action movie moments you expect the series to have. Such as this, when you take a jeep and you're driving to the next destination, trying to survive against Nazis who are shooting at you and following you. And again, you don't have fancy technology like rockets. You just have your gun and you have to shoot and hope you get them. Quite insane, especially on high difficulty. And this is another really intense, emotional part of the American campaign. You have a downed squad mate and a medic who needs to revive him, or at least try to revive him. And understandably, he's scared shitless. He wants to, he knows what he has to do, but he's just see it's too late. The medic is down. Your sergeant decides to take action, and your sergeant runs to help the squad mate. The sergeant ends up getting shot and killed as well. In some games, you may watch a squad mate get shot or possibly killed, but often you don't get to see or hear the terror of war itself. In this case, this seems much more emotional and impactful to me, instead of someone going out like a superhero, dying in some magical heroic thing. This is really, really gritty and raw. Now you're in a Nazi mansion, trying to get some secret plans, but also trying to rescue 2 British soldiers of special interest. This is one of the last American levels, and this gets insane because you have tight, narrow hallways, big open rooms, and outdoor areas like this. You have a lot of tight, crazy combat in this stage. But wait, you mentioned British soldiers. Who do you rescue? None other than Captain Price.
That's quite all right.
That's right. That's Captain Price. You know, the one from the future. He was in World War II also. You didn't know that? After you free Captain Price, the American missions are done, and you begin playing as the British. So how do you begin? Well, obviously, in a car chase where you're shooting rockets at people. What else would you do? Although the British campaign may be the smallest part of the game, it is arguably more insane than the American part. For example, in this level, you're trying to take over a bridge and this section of this town, and it's just from beginning to end a non-stop, insane invasion of Nazis. You have a small group of British troops, and they have a whole army, and they're coming after you. So you gotta survive any means necessary, because you need that bridge. You have to hold this bridge for 5 minutes until reinforcements can show up to help you. And in these 5 minutes, you get attacked and flanked from every side, every angle from the Nazis. They want you dead, your squad mate's dead, and they want that bridge. They throw everything at you, including tanks, and you have to take this slow-moving flak cannon, and you gotta shoot them before they shoot you. As you gaze upon all the bodies you killed, the heroic music comes in, letting you know that you did the mission, and you're going home to see it.
I believe that's the last of them. Excellent work, lads. Bloody well done.
In this mission, you do a stealth landing on this dam with the intentions of basically blowing the shit out of it. What starts as a quiet landing becomes noisy really fast. Now, I'm not trying to spoil everything in the game. All I'm trying to do is show you some cool stuff to hopefully get you interested enough to try to play this game. For example, in this moment, you and Captain Price land on a German ship to try to steal plans. But as you can see, they're not shooting at you. In fact, they greet you. That's because you're pretending to be German troops. You get to walk around a German ship without anyone attacking you, at least at first. That's enough of the British for now. We still have to talk about the Russians. And I hope you're sitting down, because this is a doozy.
There will be no mercy for defeatists, cowards, or traitors. Anyone caught deserting his post will be shot.
Joseph Stalin said not one step back, and they mean it. If you take one step back, they will kill you. Simply put, the Russian levels are a complete bloodbath. Whether it's the Nazis trying to kill you, or it's your officers trying to kill you for moving backwards. A lot of blood is to be spilled, whether you're fighting for Stalingrad, you're fighting in Berlin. Lots of blood and lots of death. It's by far the most insane, incredible, emotional, intense part of the game. The American levels are good. The British levels are good. The Russian levels are otherworldly. If all this wasn't enough, you get to drive some freaking tanks. You get to drive tanks, mow down trees, and blow up Nazis. If you needed anything else to make the Russian levels awesome, here you go. Here's some tanks. Earlier in the game, you had to defend yourself against tanks. Now you get to drive them and blow shit up. The Battle of Berlin. The last mission of the game. You storm the building to take this town from the Nazis, effectively ending the war here. Because if you capture this, the Nazis basically have lost. They're backpedaling at this point, but you will win if you capture this building. After all the fighting, you finally get to the rooftop with your squad mates, with your comrades, and then you see them with the victory banner, and they wave it on the roof. The battle is done. The Allies have won, and the Nazis have lost. Never has it felt so good to be some communist scum. I guess it's time to talk about Call of Duty WW2. I don't think they talked too much about the game in depth, but from what I heard, it sounds really exciting. And exciting has not been a word I've used to describe Call of Duty in quite a while. They said your character is not superhuman. Your health will not regenerate by itself. You can't get shot in the face and hide behind a wall, and then, 5 seconds later you're good to go. You need your teammates. You have teammates who are medics, who can supply ammo. If they die, the way you play the game will change. To me, that sounds fascinating. That reminds me of things like Fire Emblem. How if you lose a character, that really affects the gameplay. I just spent a couple minutes talking about Call of Duty 1, showing you key points that are impactful, emotional, and things like that. So if they're making Call of Duty WW2 and focusing on those points, then sign me up. I'm interested. They also mentioned a little thing about the multiplayer. So you're going to have your typical Call of Duty multiplayer, we can assume. But they talked about a new game mode, which they described it as an Ally versus Axis objective mode kind of a deal. So you're going to have your Axis team and your Ally team, and they're going to have objectives. And when I hear that, that makes me think of Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, which is another all-time classic PC game that I absolutely love. Speaking of multiplayer, I did not really mention the multiplayer for the first Call of Duty yet. Now, the multiplayer is good and it's fun, don't get me wrong. If you can find people to play with, it is fun. But you have so many multiplayer games to choose from now. CSGO, Battlefield 1, even the new Call of Duty. I'm not going to tell you to stop playing a new Call of Duty or a new Battlefield to play the original one from 2003. No, that doesn't make sense. It is fun. I do think it's worth a shot, but there's better multiplayer games out now. The point of the first Call of Duty is its single-player campaign. It's about time for me to get on out of here, but before I go, one last time, just pick up the first Call of Duty already. It's going to be cheap. It's worth a play. Just pick it up. Got more videos planned, and I'm hoping to get some out soon. I'll see you in the next one.